Hello and welcome to the Get Offset podcast. My name is Andrew.
I'm Emily.
And I'm Brian Spragg with Bookworm Effects.
Yay! Woo! Thanks for joining us today, Brian, all the way from West Virginia.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Of course. So for those of you who aren't familiar, Bookworm Effects is a great little company that makes some super cool pedals that I've talked about a lot on the show, especially the Multicano that I feel like I talk about that every other episode. And I think what's always appealed to me about your effects, Brian, is the literary theme, because I was a very voracious reader in school. Basically, when I had time to be a voracious reader, I was one. So I love that appeal of nerddom.
Yeah, I want to. I don't know. I'm like a pretty big reader, and like I kind of just wanted to name pedals after something interesting, and like a common theme is always kind of cool.
I
And
agree.
and so decided to do that. And I think like it's kind of cool. I don't really see too many businesses doing that, but there is a couple other that like have pedals named after books or book characters kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's cool. Like, I'm not saying I was the first, but it's cool to like maybe they like I don't know, maybe they saw it and thought that was cool. So it did.
We've talked generally about like naming conventions in the past, like naming your guitars. And my thought is that it's usually really cool and fine if names have a theme like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like what does Mike Adams name his guitars after, Andrew? Star Trek characters?
Star Wars.
Star Wars.
Not Star Trek.
He likes Star Trek too.
He does, and we forgive him for his sins.
Okay, all right. We're gonna have a conversation next time we see each other.
Roddenberry would be most displeased.
I am really displeased. I'm so displeased. How dare you? I know I named my cat after a Star Wars character, but I've dressed up for Halloween as Uhura more than once.
Nice.
Well, just the dress and the gun, because that's really all you need to dress up as somebody.
True.
A
yeah.
little
is their weapon.
Gun. Yes, and boots. No, I don't usually wear boots. I don't know.
She usually had kind of cool hair too, right? Like kind of a beehive hairdo.
Yeah, I didn't do that.
It's okay.
I wouldn't know how.
I just like to poke fun at the Trekkies.
Trekkers.
Oh boy. Well then, I'll leave that one alone. But I don't dislike Star Trek, and yes, so absolutely the history of conclusion of what Roddenberry did was groundbreaking.
Inclusion,
so
yes. I mean, I think it was one of the most important shows ever to be on television. I mean, it was the first interracial kiss. It was the first like truly interracial cast where everyone, I'm getting goosebumps, where everyone was like they were equals with each other. Yeah. And it was just such a beautiful thing. And even like the like, you know, white actors, they were their own different races, and Spock was interracial or interspecies. Well, I don't know how that works, but it's like he's like the Liger of outer space.
Yeah.
One thing that I can say unequivocally is that Star Trek has a much better track record with handling race than Star Wars does.
Oh yeah.
Which has had a number of blunders, and that's always been something that's bothered me. But at the end of the day, you can judge me all you want. I love Star Wars more than pretty much every other franchise. Sorry.
That's fine. But don't meow on Star Trek.
Oh, it's just fun. Can you leave me alone a little bit?
Oh, God. So today let's talk about our cats. Cats. Carrie, yesterday she took a pretty nasty swipe at me when I was petting her. You know what? I'm not going to talk about that. Well, actually, you know what? I will. And then I ignored her for 5 minutes, and then she let me hold her for 5 minutes after that. So
And then
big
she
up.
used the force to move herself through space, which is coincidentally never been done before.
She we got these tapestries to hang on the walls. Um just because like we were looking for a really big tapestry for our townhouse because you know we're a townhouse, so it's 3 stories, lots of stairs, and something big to put on this big piece of wall. So we were looking for big tapestries, and we ended up getting a few small to medium sized ones in addition to the big one. And one of the small medium sized ones is it's actually pretty big, but it's a little black cat riding a bicycle. And we took off the top level of her cat tree because she never went up there, so you can see this beautiful tapestry more, and it just brings me such joy. I love it so much. I love her
That's
so
amazing.
much. Yeah, I just getting like emotional about my cat. Every day I look at her and I say, Kiri, are you having a good life? And she goes, ow. Yeah, good cat. Andrew, you want to talk about Poppy?
Poppy has been very sad lately. She's just been a little lonely, and I
Oh,
need to make sure to give her extra pets because we've both my wife and I have been out quite a bit. So
Oh,
it's the getting back at like 9 or 10 p.m. and realizing that she hasn't had dinner and we're terrible cat parents.
oh, Poppy.
Little things like that, but she's been great. So this is great. So this is I need to post a picture of this. I don't know why I haven't done it yet. So my wife is incredibly artistic and imaginative, and she took a box and cut a hole in it and then used construction paper to frame that hole like a theater. So there's like a bunch of rows of seats and then red curtains kind of tied off to the side is the way it looks.
Oh,
And
that's
then
pretty
put a
cool.
blanket inside of it, and she just like gets inside and then looks out, and so it looks like just Poppy is on a movie screen in a theater. And it's really cute because then she likes to rest her
Oh,
chin on the edge of the box, just like the top of the seats, and yeah,
oh,
it's
which
that's
cute.
so cute.
all fun and games until we realized that that meant she was going to sleep in there at night and not at our feet.
Oh, well, you gotta put the
No,
box
I'm
at
a
your
little
feet.
torn.
Oh,
Yeah, but then I'm going to kick the box and
yeah.
so yeah. So the long story short is step one, cut a hole in the box. Step two, put that cat in the box.
I think step 2 sometimes happens on its own.
Yep.
Yeah. Last Carrie sleeps with us every night at my feet or at my hip, and this morning, Rick got up early, and we were both, I guess, kind of curled up in similar positions, and he took a picture. It's pretty cute.
Aw.
Brian, are you a cat guy?
Love cats. Yeah, I have a cat named Rowboat.
Rowboat. That's such a cute cat name.
Kind of like
Thanks.
robot, but a boat.
Do you know what a rowboat is, Andrew?
I know what a rowboat is. I'm just wondering if that's what it is or if there's more layers to it. I'm always looking for a pun or a play on words.
The inspiration was. Have you guys seen Bottle Rocket?
Oh God, it's been so long since I've seen Bottle Rocket.
I have
It's
not.
cool.
Oh,
There's It's Wes Anderson's first movie, and it's really good and silly. But there's a random character in it named Rowboat, and I just thought that was funny. So
no, that's
I
cute.
like, yeah, when we got her and my brother and I'm so glad my brother didn't like fight me on the name. Just like, can we name her Rowboat? He's like, sure. So
Nice.
yeah, and she is about 10 years old.
Oh.
She's kind of rotund, and she's also like little though. She's like a little round cat. Um,
Oh, that's so cute.
and she's got like really big eyes, and she lets you touch her belly most of the time. She doesn't like
Oh.
get. She doesn't do the freak out like tricked you. Now I'm gonna scratch and bite you.
Aw.
Oh, did you
Um,
hear me gasp? Because I just gasped when you said that.
yeah, because that's a huge thing with cats is they always attack you when you touch their belly,
Yeah.
um, or almost always. But Rowboat usually lets you do it, and then she kind of just like stares at you in a funny way. So I think she's just older and a little more docile, and that's kind of why.
I can't wait for my cat to get older.
How old is she?
My cat's 3.5, gonna be 4, and
Cool.
still acts like a kitten. She's
Oh,
also
Yeah.
still
she's
not
still a kitten.
she's not even that big for a cat. She's like 8 pounds. She's tiny.
Mm.
Yeah, I think Carrie's 9.
Okay.
Carrie
Cool.
looks a lot bigger than Poppy in person. I don't think you've met Poppy, but Carrie was just a lot bigger.
You barely saw her. She's in that cube, and she's very long. But she weighs just over 9 pounds last time we took her to the vet.
Wow.
She's floofy.
I saw her in your video.
The one I posted the other day where she yowls right into the camera.
Oh, did she? I don't know if she yelled. It was the
She meowed.
one Oh, I didn't see that one, but the live video with my pedals,
Oh, yeah,
like
just her, you
at
just
the end
saw
of it.
her eyes. You have no idea how big she is.
Yeah, just like the ominous eyes looking out is really adorable.
It's
So.
so cute. It's my favorite. And she's such a good hider, just being a black cat. And we got her in the winter. She just really blended in with my
Hmm.
environment of like my all black attire, my black blankets and stuff. There's one time like I couldn't find her for like 30 minutes, and I was just looking everywhere. I'm like, Rick, I don't know where the cat is. He's like,
That's awesome.
you don't know where she is, and he kind of looked over at the sofa, and she was just laying on this black blanket.
Oh
I didn't
That's
no,
even see
awesome.
her. She was there the whole time.
camouflage.
Yeah, she's a good girl. Um, yeah, she's a good kitty. But what Brian's talking about for everyone who's listening is we have a Facebook group. If you go to Facebook and search "Get Offset Podcast," it's a group. I did a lot of, I'm sure, quite boring live video there the other day. But I also do a visual thread for every episode, so I'll post pictures of what we're talking about. Um, Especially if we don't go into detail on things, or if we talk about a specific video or product, I'll drop a link to it.
Cool.
7 out of 10 would
Yes.
recommend. Yeah.
Excuse you.
I'm in a saucy mood
That's
today.
rude. Sweet Lord.
Yeah.
Well, then you can do it, Andrew.
You know, that the idea of that frightens me because I feel like I would just mislead people.
Mm. How so?
In general, just no one should trust me. That's just a good rule of thumb. Never take anything I
Oh
say
no.
seriously. Certainly don't trust me. That would be a huge mistake.
It's like that 303 song. Don't trust a host.
Oh my god.
Get it? I'm proud of that.
That was excellent.
Don't trust the host.
I
Don't trust the host.
Oh, that reminds me of a show I need to buy a ticket for that's happening in Seattle this summer. It's going to be a lot of nostalgia.
Oh, tell me more.
It's going to be so the headliner is August Burns Red for their 10th anniversary of Constellations, and I'm psyched because August Burns Red was one of the bands that got me in the hardcore scene. Super dig them. The opening acts are Silent Planet, which is got to be my current favorite band because they're incredible. They are incredibly socially conscious. All of their songs are about social issues and tackling them with a wide range of their faith and their politics, and just all of it kind of wound up together in some really neat ways. And so it's like the last time I went to see him in concert, they like got up on stage and said this song is about the plight of Native Americans and immigrants, and I just want everyone to know that no matter who is president, the immigrant, the everyone will be is my brother, my sister, my friend. I don't care about your politics. I'm friends with everybody. Kind of an idea. It's a little
Yeah.
hippie. The
I
front.
like
Mhm.
I yeah, I'm not really religious, but I went to a Christian college, and it was very much a hippie kind of Christian college. I remember going to a talk once because I had to, and it was about immigration. And I was like, "Oh, this is going to be bad." And they're like, "Jesus would say, let everybody in." I'm like, "You're right."
Anyway, so they're a super cool group of dudes. Their front man Garrett is the this kind of tells you a little bit about him. Is doesn't wear shoes, and he has hair down halfway down his back, and he is the coolest dude. Just he gives everybody hugs. He's that kind of a guy. Love him to pieces. He actually went to my college. That's how I got connected with them. It's a friend
Ah.
of a friend.
Oh, that's right. You were telling me about them.
Yeah, and then
Cool.
the other
I
opening.
thought when you said When you said, I'm sorry, when you said nostalgic, I thought you might have meant that like Salt and Pepper was coming again.
No, no, no. The middle band is where things start to get a little extra nostalgic for me. Is it's Silverstein, and if you never listen to Silverstein, you should because it's just excellent emo metal kind of hardcore
Oh,
stuff.
mm.
I dig it. I'm a fan.
And
I just
and I'm glad that you dig it.
I listen to Silverstein and I kind of just want to like wear skinny jeans and lay down with my bangs hanging out of my eyes for the first time all day and kind of just think about death and stuff. That's great.
It sounds like a normal afternoon for me.
Anyway, so I'm planning on buying a ticket. If anyone in the Seattle area wants to go, like buy a ticket now because that's going to sell out. And
Where are they playing?
a Showbox Soto,
Oh, yeah, that so you can go there like 90 minutes before doors open and you
they
can
let
just
you
go to
into
the
the
bar, get a
bar.
drink, and get some food. Yeah, and then you're the first person in the venue. And both show boxes do that and it's the best.
That's cool.
That's how I got like front row for the Breeders.
Right. Showbox in Seattle will do that, but then or in downtown will do that, but they give you numbers. And so if you don't get
Yeah.
there like immediately, you don't get in first. But with
Right. You like
I
it's like the top it's like the first I'm sorry, the time Rick and I went to see the Breeders at the market, we were like the third and fourth person in the door. And you know what? The food was
Wow.
really good. Like surprisingly good. And the food in Soto is better.
Soto is great. Last time I was at a show at Showbox Soto was for Caspian and Under Oath, and it was the same deal as I got there super early, went in, and I paid for a beer, and then I just waited for the bartenders to let us into the venue and just rushed it. And I managed to get
Yeah.
right up on the rails for the show in front of all the VIPs who were complaining that people who didn't pay for the VIP ticket didn't get to be up front, but too
Well, tough
bad.
nugs. You just gotta know how it works. But yeah, I just one. I don't want to bore poor Brian who does not know what we're talking about. But
No,
when
it's
I
cool.
saw the Breeders at Showbox Soto and was front row for that, there was this guy like so Rick, my husband, like was kind of saving my spot, and my friend Shane's spot, and Shane and I went to the merch booth, and we came back, and there was this kind of this dude, and he just like really just totally bogarted my spot and was kind of mean. I'm like, oh, whatever. I was still up
Mm.
front. I was right in front of Josephine instead of Kim, though. And in the end, Josephine gave me her set list. But the weirdest part
Wow.
about like that guy being there was like he took a few pictures at first, and then he stopped, but he didn't like move at all. He didn't seem to be enjoying it. He wasn't really singing. And then he was just on his phone, and I'm like, this is so rude. And finally, I looked down at his phone, and he's like Googling. I see him. He's on the website's show calendar. I'm like, that's weird. Like, just be in the now, man. Like, and then he clicked on the show we were at, and then he Googled the Breeders. I'm like, oh,
You didn't know who they
this guy
were.
is at the
Oh, that's
wrong
great.
show. Yeah. He thought he was seeing the Dandy Warhols or something. And he just stayed there as long as he could. And yeah. So let's talk a little bit about Bookworm Effects.
Tell
Okay.
me about it. Emily knows more about it than I do. I only know what I've read on your website and kind of what I've heard from the effects that Emily owns, but I've never owned a bookworm effect, unfortunately, and I want to know more because I think you're super rad.
Oh.
Cool. Well, thank you. Yeah, you want me to just sort of talk a little bit
Yeah, let's
about it?
start from the top.
Okay. Well, I'm in Morgantown, West Virginia, and I have a line of pedals. They range from just like standard dynamic overdrives to like weird stuff like the Multicano distorted reverb. The David Foster Wallace is a delay that uses light to control the delay time if you want
It's
it
so
to.
cool. I'm sorry. I just got that on Friday, and I had so much
Yeah.
fun with it. I called my husband down the stairs. I'm like, Rick, do a strobe effect with the light switch. And I'm like, listen, it's so cool. Sorry, go. I'm sorry. Go
Yeah.
on.
No, it's okay. Another thing that I like to do, like, I all the circuit boards have artwork by, well, first the designs of each pedal are by different, usually local artists in typically West Virginia, or just like close to me in West Virginia, and those artists will also, they might send extra design, like extra pieces with their designs, and thinking like, oh, I don't know if you can use this, but like this is just something extra. And I can almost always put something on like the circuit board for the inside of the pedal. And so almost all of them are shaped to be sort of the front design, and so they look fun and cool on the inside as well. You want to crack them open, kind of thing. Um, but that's basically
Yeah.
it. Like, I'm a one person operation, and I do things in really small runs. So never like huge amounts or anything. Maybe like 20 at a time. That's not very much. Um,
Yeah. How long have you been doing it?
I think officially it was like the summer of 2015 when I did a Kickstarter and it got funded. So
Oh, that recent. I didn't realize that.
yeah, I haven't really been doing it that long. I think like I was building for a year before that, and like doing research to like sort of figure out the first line of pedals, which was the Atticus Finch Overdrive, the Bigwig Bass Driver, the Trilobite 2X Fuzz, and the Switter's Boost. So like those are the first like four I released.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, it was really like the Kickstarter. I think I started it in like end of June, like June 29th, and
Yeah.
it got funded in like four
Dang.
days. It was really,
Wow.
yeah.
How'd you manage that?
I well, I think what helped was like some of the artists that did it, like when they would post about it on any of their social media stuff, like some of them have huge followings. So they were just like, "Oh, I love everything this artist does, then I want to support this." And like,
Oh.
so that helped a ton. Um, oh, the I can't remember his name, but the guy who like owns or
Mhm.
runs Kickstarter, like the main guy, uh, he backed it and then he posted about it on Twitter, like on,
Nice.
and so like whatever his millions of followers saw it. So yeah, I mean everything just like it was also like Kickstarter liked it because of whoever was in um, like my like rep from Kickstarter that I talked to. He was like, "Hey, I love guitar pedals and I love reading, so we're gonna put this as like a project we love, so it shows up on the front page a lot." I was like, "Okay, that's cool with me. Like, obviously,
Yeah.
anything
Wow.
helps." So, but yeah, I made like goal in a few days, and then made a bunch of stretch goals to release other stuff. So I was able to do the Billy Pilgrim with that as well, and then like the last stretch goal was the White Whale little lo-fi amp thing. So
Oh, sweet.
yeah,
Yeah. Um, Billy Pilgrim is that Kurt Vonnegut?
yep, Slaughterhouse
Ah,
Five. Mhm.
that's right. Yeah. Well, I remember loaning that book to some boyfriends in college.
Yeah.
Oh, I was great. No, I really love the creativity that a lot of those pedals have. Namely, of course, the Multicano, which is just so cool to me, and the David Foster Wallace, which I'd had my eyes on for a while and was really excited to finally get. And then you just released that Seth's Fuzz.
Hmm.
Can you tell me about that? Because like it is so cool, and I don't know a lot about fuzz. I just know that I used to think I hated fuzz until maybe about a year and a half ago. I got the half horse and I like that.
Oh yeah.
And then we did the Mount Hood. I got the Hawaiian Pizza by Caroline Effects, and now I have the Seths. And yeah, I what is? Please tell me more about that.
Yeah. The sets. The idea was to make like a pretty extreme sounding fuzz that's not. I mean, I think like I made it so there's not a gain control. I just like think
Dimed.
fuzz sounds best like with the gain or drive or fuzz crank
Yeah,
all
I
the time.
noticed that because I was like, "Oh, I wonder if I can." No, I don't know what any of these controls do. But
Yeah.
yeah, there's not obviously not a gain control on it.
Yeah, I'll walk you through them. But the basically, I just wanted to have like an extreme fuzz, and then the most left knob is your volume, so just like a main output. The top right knob is a tone control, so it goes from like super bassy to super like no bass at all
Mhm.
treble kind of thing.
Cool, cool.
all the way to the right. And then the center knob is just it is technically, I call it a focus control, but it is sort of just a voltage control
Mhm.
for the recovery stage, which just means like,
Ooh, that's what I
when,
thought it was. 'Cause I was
That's
getting
all
that like low
glitchy.
voltage sound that I like a lot.
yeah, when
Yeah.
we're all the way up, it's cutting power to the recovery, so it gets like a little quieter and like spittier. Um, like combining that with like the higher treble fuzz can sound like a
Like a
cool
crackly.
textural thing. But
Mhm.
yeah, and like it doesn't get too crackly. Like it's still like able to be used, I think, in a lot of different ways. But I think like middle with that control, or like all the way left to get like the more dynamic
Mhm.
and open sound is kind of like, that's how I play it. But it's just like, just for different textural things, and just wanted to make a fuzz that, I could have added like a gain control,
Why?
but honestly, I just like fuzz
Yeah, I
should
hear
be
that.
full on all the time, I think. So yeah.
Yeah, it's funny because I was recording a little thing on I guess it was Thursday and your pedal came in on Friday. I'm like, damn, that would have been so good to
Um,
have. Went
yeah.
back and added it. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Um, cool. Yeah, it's just a simple like, um, it's basically a single transistor fuzz, but it just has like a second recovery stage, and that's it. So like, it's not super complicated of a circuit.
Hmm.
Um, I just wanted to make it like pretty simple and fun. So
Yeah, it sounds good. That's what matters.
thank you so much.
Yeah. So what's the book that it's based on?
Have you ever heard of Swamplandia by Karen Russell?
I have.
That book, so it's all about a family in Florida who is like, they have a theme park and they have alligators, so they wrestle, or like basically the mother wrestles them mainly, but there's just alligators all over the park. And for some reason, it never says why, every alligator is just called Seth. Like, they're just like, I gotta feed the Seths, or have to like do this with the Seths, or like she wrestled the Seth really well, and like that kind of stuff.
That's awesome.
And it's amazing. I was like reading it, going like, please never explain it. Please never explain why they're called Seth. And like, and it never did, as far as I remember.
That's the
And I just,
best.
yeah. And so I know it's kind of like, kind of silly trolling to label each knob Seths,
I
but
love that. That's funny.
I think most people, when they're messing with it, they'll understand it's not like super complicated to use. And
Yeah.
yeah, but uh, yeah, I just like, that book was really, I liked it a lot. And Karen Russell's kind of like one of my newest kind of favorite authors, kind
Karen
of thing.
Russell. I'm gonna
Yeah,
add her to my Audible wish list because that's how I consume books now. Because I'm
yeah.
always like at a computer doing work, but
Hmm.
I can work with books.
All you guys talking about gators reminds
Yeah.
me of it was that water boy quote. It was like my mama says that alligators are ornery because they got all damn teeth, no toothbrush.
Oh.
I was thinking about the Water Boy yesterday. I think I was thinking about where he was at a party and he goes, I'll take a whiskey and water. Hold the whiskey." And,
Oh.
like, and then the weird guy. There's a weird guy with like crossed eyes. He's like, "Did you just make a joke, Bobby?" And he's like, "Yes, sir. Yes, I did."
Oh.
Super funny. Like, but I want to do that in a bar, but I don't really, 'cause I want the whiskey. I don't
Right.
know why I
And
would
you also
say
want to
that.
be able to go back to that bar.
Just the whiskey on the side.
Yeah.
I
Can I
want
have
it
whiskey and water?
deconstructed. Deconstructed.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah. I
I'd
like
like a
that.
deconstructed PB&J.
Oh my goodness. Deconstructed. Remember when that was like the biggest trend in like dining? You're like, here's a deconstructed spaghetti. I'm like, I don't want just plain noodles and marinara. Like, I want it together.
I
Yeah.
remember vaguely that being a trend, but I also remember not being able to afford to participate in said trend.
That was for the best, Andrew.
Yeah.
It's probably the best time to not be able to like afford to
I
participate
feel
in
like
a
that's what would
dumb
like that's
trend.
the kind of trend that a toddler would have come up with. Like it progressed from like I want my sandwich to be in squares to be I want my jelly on the side to mama, I thought we talked about this. Gosh darn it. I want my peanut butter on the side, I want my jelly on the side, and I want my bread on the side with a cookie cutter so I can cut those into shapes. Like, I feel like that's what the restaurant
Lord.
industry did with that, but, you know.
I think I don't know. If someone is listening and they can tell us like what up with that, please tell me what up with
What
that.
up with
What
that?
up with that?
Ooh wee! What up with that? What up with that? Ooh wee!
Oh, I'm
Should have kept it
sorry.
going, Andrew.
I didn't. Yeah.
It's okay. Yeah, but audiobooks are how I tend to consume books now, so that is now added to my my to listen list.
Good, cool.
Yes. I don't know if I'll listen to it before or after I listen to The Dirt, the Motley
The
Crue,
dirt. Oh yeah.
Epic.
because the movie wasn't good, but I've heard that I've heard the movie was bad, but I've heard that the book is quite interesting.
I watched a little bit of the movie, and yeah, it's bad.
It's like
I
in the first 30 within the first 30 seconds, you're like, my expectations for this are they don't exist.
I hate
I have none.
all of the breaking the third wall stuff. I
You
hate
mean the
that.
fourth
I
wall?
think it's so dumb.
I feel like they should have either fourth wall, yes. They
Or
should
fourth wall. Sorry.
they
Yeah,
should have either just committed to it or not done it.
had like a voiceover or something instead, but like the
They
guys
had
looking
a
at
voiceover. They had that also.
well,
You
they had
shouldn't
that
And
do
it
too.
was
both.
at this point that Jeff
Yeah, it was
realized what he
weird.
had done was a terrible mistake.
You know that nobody in that band is named Jeff, right?
I'm aware of that. I just came up with a name out of nowhere for the sake of breaking the third, fourth,
Yeah,
fifth wall.
I will say that movie gave me a lot of respect for Mick Mars,
Let's see, who was that? That was
the guitarist who did not care about the other
that's
stuff.
right. Yeah,
Hi,
that's
Carrie.
cool.
Hi, Carrie. Oh, she's like, oh, back away, back away. I don't like this anymore. Yeah, so let's take a second to thank our sponsors for today's episode. Thank you, Brian.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Bookworm Effects is one of our sponsors for this week's episode. Please, please, please check out his pedals. They're a lot of fun. Like he said, he has everything from pretty standard overdrive things to the weird stuff that I live for. And yeah, I'm a big fan,
Cool. Thank you so much.
As you should be.
as I should be. Yes. What else do we have on tap for this episode, Andrew?
I believe. Well, sorry, I'm being interrupted right now. I guess. Oh my goodness, Melissa just came home and she found that Poppy cuddling up with our stuffed Bernese mountain dog.
Oh,
It's that's not life. It's not life size. No, those dogs get so much bigger, honey. Anyways, so she's cuddling up with the stuffed dog, and it's really cute.
oh! Please post a picture to the
Oh, hi,
Instagram.
Poppy. Hi, Poppy. Do you want to say hi? Yeah. I am so sorry. Well, there's that for an interruption.
That's
Going
a good
back to
one.
our sponsors. Yeah. Jennings Guitars is a sponsor and friend of the show, and I'm in the works of getting a custom build done with Chad, going for a Voyager Deluxe, and I cannot stinking wait. So if you're interested at all in getting a guitar that's over the that's in the Made in America range, I think you will be pleasantly surprised with how reasonably priced Chad's guitars are, but also just with the quality. I've heard nothing but good things, and I cannot wait to get my hands on my very own Jennings guitar.
Nice. Oh, Melissa just sent us pictures, I think.
I think she
Nice.
did. There it is.
Oh.
I will forward it to.
Oh.
Wait, here we go. And
Too cute.
there it is.
Far too cute.
And
yes.
And if Brian's logged into Facebook, he can now see.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I can pull it up.
The
here.
adorable little kitty cat.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, one thing you didn't mention, Andrew, about today's episode is that we were going to talk about stuff and things.
Stuff and things. I like stuff and things.
So, what stuff and things are we going to talk about today?
we are going to talk about stuff and things of the artistic variety and or the lack thereof.
Mm-hmm.
And what I mean by that is uh, we're going to talk about specifically about ripping off art, where the line is on that, because I do think that there is the potential for there to be a lot of gray area in this discussion, especially when we get into the topic of,
Mm-hmm.
well, I was just paying tribute to this thing that I really like. Um,
Yes.
Star
How,
Wars,
like, at what point does it stop being tribute and just start being a ripoff?
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
so, and we thought we'd have Brian talk about that with us because Brian has some excellent original art, and
And
I
his
think
art is
that's
also
super cool.
tribute, which is really
And
cool.
there is another layer of the onion. I don't know why this podcast is now the onion, but it's an onion, and there are many layers, like
Oh, Sugar the
ogres.
Onion. Yeah. So,
Ogres.
yeah. So, I mean, just to get us started, I think that sometimes it does make sense to take the aesthetics from one pedal and to move it along to another. One example I can think of that is people making circuits based on a tube screamer and then making their version of that green.
Green.
Yeah.
Like an
Yeah,
ogre. Sorry, I'll be done with the really terrible Mike Myers impressions.
thank you.
Um, yeah, so making tube screamers green, or if you're doing like a Marshall clone and you've got the gold and the gray and the black kind of look, with the silver and
To
something
me,
like
that
that. With
makes sense because people then just know what they're getting.
Yeah.
they know what they're getting. There's also the naysayers who will be like, "Oh, well, that's just very look. It's another tube. Oh, are you telling me that you are a pedal maker and you make a tube screamer clone?"
Mm,
And there's people that get uppity about that, and I don't know. I
yeah,
kind of get it. I kind of don't.
yeah.
But then just not like moving past the like the tribute and just taking bits and pieces, but like a lot of smaller companies, especially I've seen, have done like Star Wars themed stuff, and I think Walrus Audio did a line of Star Wars pedals, and the mouse came running after them pretty quickly. And when I
Oh,
Really?
say the
Well,
mouse, Disney came after
Disney
them with it
Mouse.
with their stuff. And
yeah.
so like
Well.
they really like Star Wars. And can I say that I blame them? No, because that would be hypocritical.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but where's the line? And then there's the outright ripping off of someone else's graphic, and whether that be wittingly or not, because it has happened before where someone gets people have gotten C&D letters and been like, "You really have a trademark or a copyright for that?"
Yeah, but
Okay.
then there's also people just straight taking a lot of the aesthetics from another pedal, like down to almost identical fonts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is yeah, and so that's giving us setting up the breadth of the range of what we're talking about. I just
Mm-hmm.
realized how redundant what I just said was, but you get the point.
Totally. Yeah.
So where to begin? Tell you what, Brian, let's now that we've set the scene, so to speak, why don't you kick us off with your thoughts, and we'll just kind of go from there.
Okay. Yeah.
Just throwing you right under the bus here.
Yeah. I don't know where to begin. I was like, we were, doing research on like I wanted to look up some of the pedals that I see out in the world, like who designs the artwork for them. So I did like a little bit of homework. The one thing I couldn't find is Zvex used to have like I think they still do, but maybe it's just not as like advertised as much. But like they're hand painted pedals, and they
Hmm.
used to say like who did
Mm.
them, and I cannot find the list anymore.
Huh.
Like like I don't think it was on the website. Like it says, yeah, that's right, you can get a hand painted pedal, but it doesn't say like by whom,
Mm.
like who's gonna do it.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Um, but like I'm pretty sure they used to have like a whole separate thing that like covered all that, but I don't see it in their like FAQ or their info. It like says get custom artwork, um, but it does not say
Who the
who's doing
artiste
it.
is?
And yeah, because I remember like even seeing a bunch on Instagram, like a couple different artists where it, like a woman's profile said hand, like one of the hand painter, well, what would it be? Hand painted pedal painters. I don't know how to
Painters
explain
of
it.
pedals, pedal
Um,
painters.
yeah, for ZVEX, it would like say that in their bio or something.
Nice.
And I'd be like, oh, that's awesome. But like, I wish the website would say like, hey, here are all the artists we have doing it, and like you should see their stuff, you know. But like, uh, I found out that Walrus Audio, like I've been liking a lot of their, like pretty much all of their stuff really has a cool look to it.
Yeah.
And it turns out it is a Oklahoma artist named Nathan Price.
Oh,
He's the one who's like,
yeah. I love that they are using someone local like you do.
yeah. And so it's cool. Like, I guess Nathan probably does like all of their designs unless they say otherwise, you know? But like, that's why like the Julia looks so cool and all the like limited edition Julias and what's the new one that just came
The
out? It's the
Lillian.
Phaser. Yeah, Lillian. Yeah. Like, I think all those designs are so cool and like they really pop and make a pedal cool rather than just saying like a phaser and like nothing else on it, you know? I don't know. But
Which minimalism has its
um,
place, but
Mm-hmm.
true. Yeah. I think sometimes it can like work with it, but some of the ones that stood out, uh, oh yeah,
Earth.
electronic audio experiments,
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
descending.
yeah. John Snyder.
Yeah, that pedal, like just that design blew me away, and I found out it is an artist goes by the name Bad Ponies.
Oh, that sounds
Hmm.
really familiar.
I couldn't find too much more information about her, but she has a Facebook page with all her designs, and they look like that. They're more like muted
Mm-hmm.
colors, kind of like pastels and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
but like super cool to check out. Um, but yeah, bad ponies on Facebook and stuff,
Nice.
and I assume maybe Instagram. I didn't find it on
Huh.
there, but um, the oh yeah, I think we all talked a little bit about Earthquaker.
Mm.
Like I always think their pedals stand out pretty well, and it's just one of their guys on their team that Matt.
Yep.
I'm not sure how to say the name.
Horak.
Horak or Horak. Yeah,
Yeah, he's phenomenal. And I don't know.
yeah,
I'm shamelessly a huge Earthquaker fan and always have been. So,
yeah. I mean, I think like they all look amazing and just aesthetically pleasing. Everything's so good about them.
and
Yeah,
the whole aesthetic across the whole line of what they do is so continuous, and I really dig that.
Same.
So,
yeah,
yeah.
definitely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they definitely do it really well. And it is so unique. I think I forget which
They've
one is
also
their.
got their own comic book too. Fun fact.
Yeah, that's really cool. I was
Oh,
looking at
yeah.
that with Rick the other day. But can I ask you all if you've seen a certain pedal? Let me find it.
You can.
All right. So
Hmm.
Vertex came out with the Tone Secret, and the artwork on that is so similar to the Faustone Valve Clipper. Oh
Oh, wow. Yeah.
yeah. Have you all seen these pictures?
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's
It's
see.
the
What's
red
the?
and
I'll send them to the
white.
group chat that we had going.
I got the Tone Secret up. What's the one? It's like
Valve
copying.
Clipper? I just sent it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, that's like that's the same. It's almost the same font. They're both um, red and white with a red square
Wow.
on them. Within, and some of the dials fall within that red square. Then the font is phew, just the same almost.
Wow. Why does
Why
he?
does he
Yeah,
keep
that's
doing
not.
this? It's like the K in the N are literally the same. The vertex N and the valve. I assume it's clipper and not nlipper.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
They're the same.
Yeah.
Why?
Oh,
Why would
yeah.
you do that?
It's
Why?
well, I mean, the why is to piggyback off of the success and of the aesthetic and to I don't know. I assume that the reason why someone would do something like that is that you see there's a pedal that everyone knows and loves, And then you see this new pedal and it evokes that same kind of aesthetic, and it makes you then think that the sound is going to be similar. I don't know. There's also the likely possibility that the folks at Vertex just continued to rip off other people's work, which isn't unheard of for them. I know that
Right.
Yeah.
they had a change of ownership at one point after the BBE rebadging incident.
And we might need to
But
just do a quick refresher on what you're talking about there.
yeah, so
Yeah.
this was back in 2011, I think, because they were hawking wah pedals that like of their own design, and I think the way it went down was they fell behind on their business needs for production and kept accepting orders, and so their way to handle it was to start rebadging BBE wahs with an exotic label, and everything else was just left the same and shipping them out as their own. Because not everybody
Wow.
opens up their pedals and goes through to make sure that it is in fact an original, then people were bamboozled. So that's my basic
Yeah.
understanding. People can feel free to correct me on that. That
Hmm.
is the legend as I
No,
know
I
it.
think that's right. I think that's
Sounds pretty
everything.
much,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
So
that's an
yeah,
unfortunate blemish for any company to have. And I know at one point in time everybody's feeling very hopeful that they were going to move past that sort of practice, and this is kind of a bummer to see for me, just because this is at best, I think this is a gray area, but
yeah. I mean, there's a difference between making your tube screamer ish circuit green so people recognize what it is, but if you also make it like the same, gosh, if you just make everything the same like that,
I mean, it's not exactly the same
right? But like, it's just it
with
is
the
the
two
same
side by
color.
side.
If you can make them the same colors, I get that. You can use a similar font, I get that. But both of those things, it just makes it. That's just it's a
But then
lot.
where do we draw the line? And that's where this becomes an interesting discussion of what's acceptable and what's not, and what we're like. What I think for me personally, I'm not comfortable with this. Looking at the difference between these two for the Vertex, I don't feel comfortable with that. But I'm not sure if I'm willing to say that is flat out 100% unequivocally like they ripped off, or it's wrong that they did this.
Right. I don't think it's
Yeah.
great.
I definitely feel queasy about it. I'm not likely to purchase one personally on the basis of that, because I like to spend my money with folks who do use original
Yeah.
artwork. But
Oh, totally.
I wish it would like even I'm looking at the Vertex website just to see if maybe it would say somewhere, "Oh, this is based on this and that," and like nothing. There's no in the manual. There's no like fine print on like where this came from or like they're just taking it as their own.
Yeah. At
You
least
know?
own up to like what it's based on. JHS does that a
Yeah,
lot.
yeah.
But
So
yeah,
weird.
that is weird. The tone secret. Well, it does say it's a secret. Top secret.
It's
Uh
not very secretive.
no. I'm just looking at the description. Um,
It talks about like it's based on a two screamer, of course, but like
but with more gain.
yeah, and like there's so many other two screamers with more
Yeah.
gain, you know. So it's not like it's the only
So
one.
maybe
I
it's
don't
a
know.
tube screamer with more gain, thus the TS. But then they're taking this other pedal, which is like the valve clipper,
Yeah.
which might not exist
Huh.
on reverb.
I'm not sure. Yeah, I was trying to having trouble with the valve clipper, but like found some on. There's different versions of it that I'm looking up images on, like just Google image
Yeah.
search.
Oh, so
Uh,
they're a Spanish company?
Spanish, cool. Okay.
it's based on an early 70s Laney clip and a late 60s Marshall Plexi Pre.
So it's not even a clone, but they're just taking the same.
Right. And so in this case, it looks like it's just the aesthetic.
Yeah, and that's
But then
almost
again,
that's more confusing to a consumer. And this is
Totally.
like a current company. Like if this is a modern company and they're like taking the art, like I'm super not cool with that. Yeah, and it's just a one
confusing, yes.
person, Fausto Perez, who lives in Toledo, Spain.
I don't think the font itself is copyrighted or like this is where we get into the what do we feel comfortable with and what is objectively wrong. And this is why I think this is a really interesting and difficult to talk about discussion, because there is gray area.
Yeah.
And whereas I don't feel comfortable, for the sake of posterity, I'm going to say that I don't think that this is outright wrong. But
I do.
I don't know.
I think it's largely someone else's aesthetics. And, I know we've had conversations about this in the past. And if I could go back, I'd be like, man, just like branch, it's like, again, if it was just that it was red and white, fine. If it's just the font, fine. But not only is it both of those things, it's like the red square. They both have that red
Yeah.
square with the softened edges. And I'm not cool with that. I don't like
Yeah.
it.
I think one weird thing, I think the valve clipper, like aesthetically, kind of works better as far as like, I'm just kind of weird about like negative space on a
Yeah.
pedal.
Mhm.
And like the tone secret, why are the words offset? And like,
And the foot
there's all
switch
this
covers the
space. The foot
S.
switch is, yeah, covering the
LED
S.
is
Like,
right through the
what is,
T.
doesn't make any sense why they would like, why don't they just put the words out, but they're making it to be like valve clipper, where it's like valve and then clippers underneath it,
Yeah.
you know? Like they're copying that too. They couldn't just write tone secret in one line,
Yeah.
Right. Well, that's an interesting.
Yeah.
I think it's clear that I don't think there's any way that this is a
Oh
coincidence.
no.
And I
Mhm,
certainly don't feel comfortable with the what's going on here. So
mhm.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that we all are like varying levels of discomfort. But
Yeah.
let's move to
that's tone secret.
yeah. Yeah, let's move to lightning bolts. Clip art.
Lightning bolts. Yeah,
Yeah.
so this is a
Flip art.
fun chunk of history with the pedal world. So Supro was a brand back in the 60s, known for its amps, and they were a dead company for a period of time, and I forget who bought them out. I want to say they were purchased by Pigtronics.
Okay.
Why do I think that?
I don't know. I'm Googling it.
That's what I have in my head, and now I'm second guessing myself.
Okay.
Um, yeah, so they were rights to Supro brand were acquired in September from former Fender amp designer and longtime Pictronics associate Bruce Zinke.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's why so it is indeed the one of the Pictronics
It
guys.
looks like they were Supro was part of a bigger company named Valco, and different manufacturers have done different, like they had the airline guitars. So it looks like maybe
Oh
there were
yeah.
several brands. Zinke used the Supro name. Yeah.
They were owned by, but no one was producing Super Gear. It was just a defunct brand name that happened to be owned by someone. Um, so that was bought out and then brought back to life. And one of the trademark or copyright, or I'm not even sure, of Supro, part of their branding is
Trademark.
a lightning bolt with specifically 3 points on either side. So the three edge, it's not, well, I don't know how to describe it. 3 edge lightning bolt.
I think they call it the
Um,
3-point lightning bolt.
3-point lightning
Yeah,
bolt.
like 3.3 bend or something. Yeah.
Something like that. I don't know. It's a 3-pointer. Steph Curry for the win.
It's like
And
it would be 3 straight lines and 2 zags.
Hmm.
Colt 45 and 2 zigzags. That's a song we don't need to revisit from middle school. And sorry. And so that's what happened. So they bought Pictronics, and or the associate bought Supro. And at this point in time, there's a couple of different companies in the gear world that were using this lightning bolt, or used it after the purchase of Supro. And so I believe it was JHS was using it for the Super Bolt. And so there's only 50 Super Bolts out there that have the 3-point. They moved to a 4-point. Gear, Gear Supply Company got a C&D from them over their lightning bolt. And I want to say Creation Music Company got hit by it as well.
That's my
and
understanding.
everybody was all hot and bothered because like, it's a lightning bolt. What the heck? We're not
Yeah.
stealing your customers, or I don't know. So I
It's
think
clip art. It's basically clip art.
Right.
So far,
I
yeah.
don't think, and did any of those companies really fight it, or they just comply? I don't know much of the story past that.
Gear Supply Company just like ignored it, is my understanding. Creation changed, and then of course JHS moved to the 4 point.
I just saw something here real quick. Have you? Did Gear Supply shut down?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, like a year and change ago.
I'm,
They left a bunch of
Oh, that's
customers high
it's
and
wow.
dry. People who had paid them money for products that they didn't
Whoa.
deliver, including me.
Wow. I didn't even know about that. I mean, I know I hadn't seen anything in a while online, but I hadn't like looked into it.
Oh,
But
it
I
was a
just found
big
like
thing. The
a
founders trying, like he got away
wow.
seemingly with no real repercussions, and he seems to be trying to become a keto influencer.
Oh, what? Really?
Yeah,
Jeez.
yeah. He lost a lot of weight, and good for him. But also, yeah, like I have sent you money, and I didn't get things in return, so I'm a little annoyed with that.
Was it with their Kickstarter or
Yeah, a
afterwards
lot of
or
people
what?
got both because they seem to have left their Shopify store up and able to take orders for a long time and hadn't refilled
Wow.
them. Haven't hadn't filled them. Like so.
I think that's an
Wow.
episode that we need to have
Yes, separately.
soon.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hmm.
If
Yeah.
people want it.
Um,
Sorry for bringing it up. I
oh
just
no,
totally didn't know
that's
about it.
totally cool.
Yeah.
Well, the more people that know, the better. And in general,
Yeah.
for smaller companies, I hate that it's like a smaller company type thing that you've got to be aware of that sometimes small companies aren't run well because for the most part, small companies are the ones that we want to give our money to,
Yeah,
and I just hate it.
and
I hate it when people like this come along and give everyone else a bad name.
well, it's kind of
But
my understanding is sort
Yeah.
of, and this, I think maybe we're hitting on more than one topic this episode because now we're here. But it was like the Vertex thing where they got more orders than they could fill. And instead of just saying, hey, we have a wait list that's this long, they just kind of panicked and just didn't really do
Mm,
anything. Because it seemed like Gear Supply might have been in some ways a victim of its own success because they were just taking orders that they
hmm.
couldn't fill. And that's, you're afraid to say no to money, but also like there's this increase in demand, and also just making sure that you're um, doing what you say you can do. It's like if you're invited to 10 parties on a Saturday and you say yeah on like Thursday and you know you can't go to all of them, some people are going to be annoyed because you didn't go to their party and you said they would be there, that you'd be there, and they, made extra pot roast or whatever, and then you didn't come. Yeah,
I don't know. I can party hard. I'll do 10 parties on a Saturday.
10 parties? No way.
That's a
No.
lie. I totally can't.
I
I
couldn't do
probably get.
two.
I would probably leave the first one, and then on the way to the second one, I would change my mind and go home and
Yep,
sleep.
that's exactly what would happen. Yeah. Yeah. So, Gear Supply, yeah, they just didn't do anything and then nothing really happened to them. I'm pretty sure though Couch Straps offers the same point lightning bolt on their straps, and I don't feel like they've ever been, approached.
That's
Hmm.
a great
Interesting. Yeah.
question. Well, I'm not going to say that Supro has handed out C&Ds like candy to absolutely everybody. Um, what I can say is that my understanding is those companies did, and that's over something that, well, yes, copyrighted. How do we feel about that copyright? How do we feel
Trademark.
about whether or not trademark? Yeah, because I
Those are
guess
very
if it
different
was a
things.
copyright,
Sorry. A trademark really depends upon use. You have to continually use it and protect it. Which a lot of people talk about. I think Eventide pretty recently sent a C&D to another pedal maker who was making also a rose pedal, and
a rose delay.
yeah, something
Yeah.
like that. And they have their own pedal that has the name Rose in it. And so they had
Hmm.
to send them a C&D because the thing is, if you don't protect your trademark, it expires. It's unlike a copyright, which no matter what you do with it, that's yours for life plus 70 or whatever crazy number it is now. But a trademark, if
Right.
you just stop protecting it, like I'm sure the Super Lightning Bolt wasn't protected for years until it was purchased in 2005 and or was used again in 2005. Couch correct me if I'm wrong, might be older than that. So they may have been using the lightning bolt before the Supro trademark came back.
Oh, maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
It's possible. I don't know as much as I want to about Couch. I only discovered them within the last
I
year.
know they're very vegan friendly.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I'm a fan.
Recycled materials and stuff.
Cruelty
That's
free
nice.
guitar strips, they say.
Hmm.
So getting on the topic of art, so the thoughts that I'm having here are, if they own it, should we respect it? Obviously, I think that's what everybody's chosen to do, and I think that is the right call. But I think that's a necessary. I'm not going to say evil. I think this is a necessary consequence slash collateral of the necessity of us protecting artists and protecting copyrights and trademarks and people's artwork. I think that's uh, even if it's just as simple as a lightning bolt, there's the same laws also protect more involved designs, more unique, more uh, proprietary to a brand or to someone's image.
Mm-hmm.
And so, as much as it's
Yeah.
kind of a bummer that it's just clip art for a lightning bolt, I feel like, you know what? This is part of the bigger picture.
Trademarks usually exist for a reason, and that reason being to eliminate confusion. Like if people might look at your thing and say, "Oh, it's that other thing," or there's an association with it, so maybe people are buying that because. Like if people were buying a JHS pedal because they had a lot of love and respect for Supro and thought that Supro must have something to do with it, um, yeah, that's confusing, and it behooves the brand to protect themselves.
So I don't know. I'm a fan of
And
that.
you know what? I
Yeah.
just like it when
Um,
people do their own thing. They do their own art, hiring local artists and build an aesthetic for their own brand. Like that's something that I have a ton more respect for, frankly, than someone who's, you know, riffing on someone else. Like I love the idea of like paying homage to something, but you don't have to copy it to
right.
pay homage. Like I do think that making your pedal green if it's based on a tube screamer is more homage than copying.
Yeah.
But what about
Because there can still be a design
Mhm.
on the pedal, like the pedal itself is green, sort of
Yeah,
like
that's
help.
not a big part of it.
Some people. Yeah. Hmm.
no, the nerd in me though wants to say that like pop culture kind of stuff is fair game, and I know that's like Supreme has gotten away with this a lot as a company. I think more so than they should have. And if you don't know it, Supreme is a quote unquote skateboarding company. They're really just a fashion company. And hashtag hype beast. That's the logo is the red rectangle with the word Supreme in their own font, and they've really pushed the boundaries of what's like covered by pop culture and what's copyrighted. And I think they've gotten away with too much, but there's also the part of me is like that's also kind of fun because it makes the pop culture and the kind of nerd stuff more accessible. Like I want to be able to make Star Wars stuff, or Star Trek stuff or whatever cup of tea you're into. And like it reminded me of like my pedals just did a duck hunt theme
Oh,
pedal where it's
bless
just the
that
artwork
game.
from Duck Hunt.
Yeah.
Looks super sick, but I'm like, when are they gonna get a C&D? Like I hope they don't get screwed by that, or because I've liked what I've
Oh
seen from
yeah.
that
Mm,
company, and I really like that that's on a pedal because it's Duck Hunt is super rad, and the pedal that like my pedals makes with that is
yeah.
super
I know
rad
some people
for
make
dual
like
overdrive.
pedals that have just straight up the characters from Mick and Morty. And so
Right,
Hmm.
and
yeah. Or the Simpsons or stuff.
smaller companies can get
They
away with that
can.
because they don't have the visibility,
Yeah.
but that I don't. I'm not gonna say that they shouldn't. I just wish there's a little bit more leeway in how to play with that, especially when we're talking about big companies who aren't actually going to be hurt by the fact, and they're certainly never going to get into the pedal business.
Hmm.
Now it's not. So my thing is, they're not stealing business from anyone. If anything, it's just free marketing. But that's kind of my thoughts, and I'm not a legal expert by any stretch of the imagination. I did look up a historical reference of copyright laws and copyright cases in the Supreme Court. And I skimmed most of it and realized I was way out of my depth for understanding that.
Oh man.
But I think it would be super cool if there's a little bit more room for quote unquote paying tribute to the things we
Hmm.
love. I know that's maybe not the most original thing. There's like, here's a picture of a stormtrooper or an icon or
Yeah.
whatever. Like it's been done before, but if that's the kind of stuff that you're into and that's what represents you and your,
Yeah, I mean, you
I
want
don't
to pay
know.
respect to the people who influence you. I forget the company, and they're based out of Minneapolis, and they did a purple gain pedal, and I don't think that would have flown when Prince was alive. He was pretty litigious, but as an honorary little tribute thing to
Yeah.
him, like it's your local Prince, and it's just the color and the font and purple gain, like I don't know. I like that. I like things that are an obvious reference to things that I like.
Mhm.
Well, and to drag Brian into this because I'm sick of hearing my own voice because I'm a terrible human. But seriously though, Brian, because all of your stuff is tributes to other people's art, their writings and stuff, and so I wanted to hear more of your end of the philosophy on that aspect of this nebulous gray matter of art.
Yeah. Um, the main idea is that, like, for all of mine, uh, all every petal is named after like a character or a place or um, just something within uh, the book, or like David Foster Wallace obviously is author, but like that kind of stuff. And then I take that and then just like I tell the whichever artist is designing something, I tell them to like include certain things, and then I let them do kind of whatever they want to do. Um, but it's kind of fun to like not give them a bunch of, I don't know, obviously guidelines, but like I like it when they just like make something on their own, and I'm like, that totally speaks to me. It's like perfect. And I don't know, like the Multicano was really fun because Bryn Parrott, who did it, she's at Deer Jerk on Instagram. She she sent the like, I only asked for the bird like with a wind on the back because it's the like wind up bird. It's based off that book Wind Up Bird Chronicle. And she's like, hey, I also sent you like an image of a cat, and then there's also another cat with like a question mark because the book is kind of about, at first it's about like a missing cat. So um but it's cool to have like all these different images and incorporate them in an interesting way, I guess. So
Yeah. I don't know how to wrap this episode. I guess all
Yeah.
I have to say is it's complicated, and I think while it's complicated in a gray area, I think it is clear when someone is ripping off outright something that isn't theirs
Yeah.
and when someone's paying tribute. And I think whereas the details of that can be a little gray, I think not only do we get to vote with our dollar, so to speak, as a consumer and say, you know what, I don't feel comfortable with owning that, but also with a
yeah.
sense of we all have a pretty decent idea of where that line is intuitively without having to pick apart the details.
Oh,
And so what
yeah.
Hmm.
I don't know if I agree with that, which I guess is fine.
well, and that's why it's a gray
Yeah.
area. I think this is definitely a more difficult episode for us to get into just because it's nebulous.
Yeah.
I think is probably the best word for
That's
it. And
true.
so that with that being said, I know we aren't the only ones that have strong thoughts and opinions on this. And so please join our Facebook group. And this episode is just where the conversation begins.
Yeah.
Share your thoughts with us, please. I really want to hear what everybody else has to say, what their thoughts are, any experience that they have. If anyone out there is, say, a lawyer that knows a lot more than I do after reading a list of court cases on copyright on Wikipedia, please share us your insights.
Indeed. Yeah, I would agree with that. Again, the group on Facebook is just search Get Offset Podcast. We have a link to it on our website, which I hope you all visit. It's real nice. We worked really hard on it. You'll be able to,
And by we, I mean Emily worked incredibly hard on all of
yeah, you
this.
know what? I'll take that. I did.
You deserve credit on that. You did an excellent
Thank
job.
you. Yeah, so you can look at uh, articles for every single one of our episodes so far on it. You can see some other standalone articles, links to other things that we've done. We have some shirts and hats and onesies, although I think that I think that onesie is copyrighted, so I think that you have to call them baby bodysuits. And yeah, things like that. We also might have a few Mount Hood fuzz pedals available if you want original artwork. That was original artwork by Andrew.
Yay! Yeah, I'll take that one. That's fair. I
Yes,
did do that.
yes, and a
Yeah,
cool
that's a cool
circuit
design.
by a different Brian Bicknell from Spruce Effects, and you can find those at spruceeffects.com, I
I
think.
believe that is the case.
And where can you find Yeah, and where can we find your pedals and
Stuff and things.
things, Brian Spragg? Things and stuff.
I have just bookwormeffects.com, and then I'm on Instagram as at Bookworm Effects, and I have a Facebook page. Most Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. But website's pretty much updated all the time, and Instagram I use
Yeah,
constantly. So you'll always see photos and videos, and sometimes my cat. So
nice. I like the cat and the photos and videos.
I was saying that means I shouldn't spam you on Twitter.
what's up?
I just got one. It's very strange. Yeah.
Oh, because I don't have a Twitter, unfortunately.
That's sad.
Yeah,
Well,
I
I'm
need to
all
get one.
alone there. Sometimes it
I
feels
know.
like. Yeah, just me and Louise from Dwarfcraft. Another great company with great original artwork. Brian, you want to give a quick shout to your artists?
Oh, there's so many of them. Yeah, is that okay?
Yeah, please.
Yeah. Well, most recently, the Seths was designed by Max Parrott. He goes by, let's see, it's at BCKWRDS Max on Instagram. One of his sisters, Bryn Parrott, has designed a few of the pedals, the Atticus Finch and the Mozzicano, and she's at Deerjerk on Instagram. Then their other sister, so
Oh,
there's
wow.
three parrots. Sage Parrot is her name, and she goes by at Hey Peep, and she designed the Trilobite fuzz. Um, the Switters, which I don't really offer right now, I'm kind of redoing it, but the Switters boost design was by Jordan Hudkins of that band Roswell Kid.
Oh,
You guys heard of Roswell
that's
Kid?
familiar.
Yeah, they're from West Virginia. They're like a fun like punk rock band. Um,
I'm a fan of punk
but
rock.
Jordan is just on there as at Roswell Kid. Um, Brian Pickens designed the Billy Pilgrim, and that's he goes under the name at Made in WV, so like Made in West Virginia. I think he also has madeinwv.com. Um, I think that. Oh yeah. Because I don't really sell the Bigwig that much anymore, I was probably gonna like redo that one as well. But Carrie Roberts, or at Folk Masses, she designed. She painted that picture of a couple rabbits in a field. So
Aw, I like
yeah,
that.
that one's really fun. Yeah, I think I'm gonna like release kind of like a super bigger version of the pedal, just to be like super upgraded, but still working on it. So um,
Yeah, and we'll post links to all those individuals around the Facebook group and probably shout them out on Instagram.
Heck to the yeah.
cool. Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah. Well, Brian, thank you again so much for being on the show. It's been a lot of fun. To everyone listening, thanks for listening and thanks for understanding. I'm Emily.
I'm Andrew.
I'm Brian Sprague, and thank you, Andrew and Emily, for having me on here.
Of course. Thanks for coming.
It was our pleasure.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Okay.